If you've noticed that you shuffle when you walk, there are a few things that can cause this, but it's almost certainly not just because you're getting older. In today's video, I'm going to reveal what causes shuffling when we walk and how to fix it. My name is Harlow and I'm the Over-Fifties specialist physio here at HT Physio in Farnham, and I've helped thousands of people over 50 to improve their walking to help them get more mobile and independent no matter their age. So there are a few different things that can cause shuffling when you walk. I can think of three major ones. The first one is a lack of dorsiflexion, which is a movement at the ankle which looks something like this. It's essentially the movement of pulling your toes up towards your shin. Now, if you've got a lazy tibialis muscle or you've got something like foot drop, then you're going to get a lack of dorsiflexion, which means it's difficult to clear the foot from the ground, which means we get the toes catching, and that can give the shuffling kind of appearance. Now, the second reason for shuffling that I can think of is a lack of knee flexion. So when we walk normally, we should strike the floor of our heel, push off with our toes, and then our knee needs to bend for it to come through. Now, if we don't have that knee bend, we end up with quite a straight leg, and then again, the toes can catch the floor, so it can give that kind of shuffling appearance. And then the final thing we're going to cover today is something called hip extension. Now, hip extension is pushing your leg out behind you as you walk. And as you take a step, if you watch my left here, obviously we strike with the heel, push off through the toes, and the leg has to be behind us at this part of the gait cycle. Otherwise, what happens is we end up coming forward like this. And then that spinal flexion brings us forward to here, and then that makes it more difficult for the leg to come through without hitting the ground. So we end up with this kind of shuffling gait because we've got a very short footstep, and it can give that appearance of someone who is maybe older than their time if they don't have that hip extension. It can also cause problems in the spine because you're bending forward like this when you walk. So none of those things are good, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to fix each one. Before we go any further, these exercises are not going to be suitable for everyone. Make sure you get checked out by your doctor before you give them a try, and if they cause you any pain, then just avoid them. So the first problem we're going to fix is a weak tibialis muscle right here. So if yours is just lazy, or you feel that you're dragging your toes and there's no real reason why, then this is a great exercise for you. It's called a tib raise, and all you need for it is a wall. You're going to lean back against the wall like this, so your bottom and your shoulders are making contact with the wall, and you want probably an 18-inch, 45 centimeter gap between your heels and the wall there. And the exercise is very simple. Keep a nice little bend in the knee, maintain that position, and then just pull your toes up towards your shins like this. Now, once you get to that point at the top where you feel a squeeze at the front of the shin, it's these muscles here that are working, then you can slowly lower it back down. Now, the goal here is we're going to try and do probably 15 or 20 of these in a row. The tibialis muscle is quite a good endurance muscle, which means that reps on the higher end of the scale can work really well because they replicate what we have to do when we walk. We need that muscle to activate over and over and over again. So practicing just 2 or 3 times is probably not going to be enough. We need to be going up to 20, maybe 25 or 30 reps to get best results. Now, if this is very easy for you, you can take a step away from the wall. Probably don't do this in socks like me because you might slip. Do this in shoes, but I'm just going to show you because you can see my white socks. So again, the further away from the wall you are, the more difficult this is going to be because you've got a bigger range of ankle motion to do. And this is just a really nice exercise. So you can do this 2 or 3 times a day, 20, 25 repetitions each time. Now, if that's too difficult for you, or you do have foot drop and you've got only very limited strength, you can do a variation of this sitting, which looks something like this. The sitting variation is essentially the same, but you're just going to have both feet flat on the floor like this, and then you're just going to work to lift your toes up whilst you're sat down. Now, if you do have drop foot and it's really difficult, you might not actually be looking for very much movement, but you just want this muscle to feel like it's switching on. Now, I appreciate not everyone with drop foot can do this because if you have 0 muscle power there, you're not going to get anything happening. But if you've got still 10, 20% of your strength there, you will still feel it contracting, even if not much movement is happening, so it's still a worthwhile exercise. Now, if you're doing it sitting, the further away your feet are from you, the more range of motion you have, which will make it probably more productive. So feel free to take your feet away from you, don't have to be tucked underneath you like this, although it helps to practice in all different ranges. Again, the principles are the same, 20 to 25 in a row, several times per day works really well. Before we go any further, I just want to tell you about a very special bonus I've created for viewers of this channel. It's called the Complete Guides to Building Muscle and Strength over the age of 50. And if you're someone who is a little bit confused about how to go about starting the process of building muscle and strength, you don't know what equipment to use or what exercises to choose, this is perfect for you. It's an exclusive 25-minute video that you can't find anywhere else, where I teach you all the ins and outs of building muscle and strength specific for people over the age of 50. So it's one of the best things I've created. I'm giving it totally for free to viewers of this channel. All you need to do is scroll down below this video. There's a link in the description where you can sign up. I'll send you the video straight away and you can get started. It's some of my best info, and if you use it, I hope you enjoy. The second thing we're going to work on is your knee bend. And as I said, many people walk without enough knee bend, which means they can catch their toe. And this might be because you've got knee pain or a stiff knee, but whatever the reason, sometimes just paying attention to what's going on at that knee is enough to fix it. So what I like to teach my clients is something called heel-toe bend, which is like a mantra that they can use in their mind as they walk, and it helps to get that knee bend at the end stage of a step, if you like, okay? So this is how it looks. You're gonna take your brain and focus on one foot at a time. So we're just gonna focus on your left, okay? So what you're gonna do as you walk, every time you strike with your heel, you're gonna say heel in your head. Every time you push off with your toes, you're gonna say toes. And every time your leg is coming through, you're gonna say bend to encourage you to bend the knee. Okay, so in real time it looks something like this. Heel, toe, bend. Okay, and then you'll be ready for another heel strike afterwards. Let me show you again. Watch my left, heel, toe, bend. Okay, and it's just that exaggeration of the bend at the end, which is where, you know, it improves, because you're really paying attention to each stage of the movement. Now, you could just do bend. You could just say bend every time you bend the knee. That's fine. But I find that putting the heel down first is the thing that sets you up for the bend afterwards. Because if you know that a heel is coming down, you can't really keep your legs straight, because you know that your heel's not going to be the first thing to touch the ground. It's going to be your toes, okay? So if we have heel, toe, bend, that puts you perfectly in place for your next heel strike. So next time you're out walking, focus just on one leg and say heel, toe, bend, every time you walk. Now, you might be saying, well, I've got the problem with both legs. How is it going to help with just one? And I've found with my patients that if you just focus on one, the other one just tends to follow along. It's quite difficult actually to walk with a different gait pattern with the right and your left foot at the same time. So if you fix it with your right, your left one will probably follow as well. So choose a leg, heel, toe, bend every time you walk. And after a couple of days, this just becomes habit. So you don't have to have it in your brain forever and ever. This is just until it becomes, you know, natural for you. So give that a try next time you're out walking. So the final thing we need to work on is this, the hip extension, which is where your leg goes out behind you. And one of the things that can restrict hip extension is tightness in the hip flexors. But you can also have weakness in your glutes, which causes it as well. So I've got an exercise for you that fixes both problems if done regularly. Okay, I just made this up and I call it the hip flexor toe slide. Probably someone in the comments can think of a better name. Scroll down, leave a comment if you can think of a better name to call this exercise. Okay, so what we're going to do is you're going to find a wall at home, put two hands on the wall. You're going to put the leg to be worked out behind you with just the toes on the floor. This is really important. You want your heel up just on your toes. Okay, most of the weight is going through this front leg. This one is just a support, almost like a bipod. Okay, so you're going to keep your chest up like this, hands on the wall. You're going to squeeze your buttocks together to activate the glutes, keep your back straight, and then you're just going to slide your toes out behind you whilst bending this front knee. Now the thing that stops me here is a stretch in my hip flexor. It's not my calf because my heel's off the floor. It's a stretch in my hip flexor. You want this to stay tight because you're activating it and then come back in. So again, slide out, keep your bum tight and stop when you get a stretch and then come back in. Slide out, keep your bottom tight and then come back in. Look at this leg here. It becomes straight as I slide out like this. And the thing that stops me is tightness here. Now, if I finish a set there, at the end, I can really feel my glutes activating to do that. It's not enough to make them bigger or insanely stronger, but it is enough to help them activate better. And that's all we want to improve your walking and to stop you from shuffling. So if you can put those 3 things into action, it's going to make a massive difference to your walking. So those are some of my best tips to help you stop shuffling when you walk. And I hope this video has been really useful for you. If it has, then do just let us know what you thought of it. Drop a comment in the comments section below because we do read all of them and it helps us to improve our channel. Now, if you want other ways to improve your walking, I've got tons of ideas for how to do just that in my brand new book, Thriving Beyond 50, the 2024 edition. It's got whole chapters dedicated to improving your walking, no matter what problem you've got, and it will show you how to strengthen all of the key areas of the body that are so important when we're on our feet. You can find this book on Amazon using the link below or just search for it in any good bookseller. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time. Make sure you've liked this video and subscribed to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you again on the next one.